Hey everyone, welcome back to another anime recap. This anime is a doozy, so be ready to see some weird stuff. The show is about how two childhood friends and their boyfriends always get along, but one day one of the friends tries to be too intimate, which causes some weird reaction. The story will unfold with various surprise and even some backstabbing, so make sure to watch till the end. The show begins and we see a group of friends having fun at a karaoke place. In the midst of a lively karaoke session, there's a discreet and provocative exchange happening between two girls, Yuma and Hotaru. While the boys, including Yuma's boyfriend Takeda, are blissfully unaware the girls are engaged in some flirtatious behavior. Yuma finally feels too uncomfortable with the situation and excuses herself, but Hotaru follows her to the restroom. Inside the restroom, Yuma confronts Hotaru, seeking an explanation for her behavior. Hotaru rather shamelessly reveals that she was merely having fun, enjoying Yuma's discomfort around Takeda. Ignoring Yuma's protests, Hotaru locks the restroom door, loosens Yuma's tie, and invades her personal space. She teasingly questions Yuma about whether she's scared, to which Yuma denies fear, but admits that the situation is simply odd. Yuma is determined to get answers from Hotaru regarding her actions, but Hotaru's logic is peculiar. She believes that Yuma will eventually engage in such activities with Takeda, so why not gain some experience now? Yuma can only gasp in response to Hotaru's explanation, finding her friend's reasoning baffling. Despite Yuma's protests, Hotaru continues with her provocative behavior until they eventually return to find the boys waiting outside the karaoke room. When Takeda inquires about the delay, Hotaru playfully suggests that Yuma was fixing her makeup for him, causing Yuma to blush. The group decides to split up, with Yuma and Takeda heading home together. During their evening stroll, Takeda confesses that he was initially concerned when Yuma proposed a double date, assuming she didn't want to be alone with him. This flusters Yuma yet again, but she clarifies that it's not the case. She just gets nervous when they're alone together. Unexpectedly, Takeda stops and asks Yuma if she thinks that couples do things only lovers do when they're alone. Without warning, he leans in for a kiss, initially surprising Yuma. However, she eventually closes her eyes and reciprocates the kiss. Back at home, Yuma can't stop thinking about the kiss. It's not just about Takeda. Hotaru's actions are also on her mind. She receives a text from Hotaru, instructing her to go to the veranda. They live next to each other with only a metal railing separating their verandas. Hotaru inquires if anything happened between Yuma and Takeda when they were alone, and Yuma shyly admits that they kissed. Hotaru expresses surprise at the news, stating that Takeda is progressing faster than expected. She continues probing, asking if Takeda used his tongue, to which Yuma firmly denies. In a mischievous move, Hotaru tells Yuma that she has something on her face, and suddenly she leans in and kisses Yuma. But this time, it's a French kiss. Yuma initially struggles but eventually pulls away, bewildered by Hotaru's actions. She demands to know why Hotaru keeps doing such strange things. Unfazed, Hotaru reiterates that it's just practice and proudly declares that she managed to French Yuma before Takeda did. In a bizarre twist, she hints at potentially stealing all of Yuma's firsts from Takeda. What if the boy discovers the truth? Hotaru promises Yuma to keep their secret. Yuma can't help but wonder why she can't resist Hotaru. In Hotaru's room, Fujiwara, Hotaru's boyfriend, calls her. Hotaru's fondness for Yuma isn't unwarranted. When they were kids, Yuma used to protect Hotaru from bullies, forging a strong friendship. One normal school morning, the girls head to school. Hotaru playfully holds Yuma's hand, making Yuma uneasy. Hotaru teases Yuma about their previous encounter, leaving Yuma self-conscious. Hotaru playfully blows in Yuma's ear, startling her. Takeda, with a smile, tells them to hurry, while Fujiwara looks unamused. Later that day, Yuma and Takeda are alone on the court. Takeda shares that he was Hotaru's classmate in his first year, and she always seemed distant from the other girls. He's glad Yuma is there for her. Yuma has always been Hotaru's only friend, even in the past, and Takeda praises her kindness. They talk about their plans for the weekend. Yuma wants to go to the amusement park, but Takeda mentions that his parents will be on vacation, leaving him home alone. Yuma tells Hotaru thinks Takeda wants her to stay over. Yuma hesitates, finding it hard to imagine them staying together due to their history as clubmates before dating. Playfully, Hotaru suggests making it easier for Yuma to imagine moving closer. Yuma tries to protest but gives in to Hotaru's kiss. Their intimate moment is interrupted when Takeda asks if he can join them for lunch. Yuma holds Hotaru back to prevent further mischief, while Hotaru agrees. As the oblivious Takeda sits down, Hotaru boldly asks when they plan to take their relationship further. The two blush and Hotaru passes it off as a joke before leaving. Takeda is confused, but these girls are just unpredictable. Yuma, like Hotaru once did, feels left out when Hotaru gets a boyfriend in middle school. It stings like betrayal. Yuma didn't care when her other friends got boyfriends, but her own jealousy puzzles her. Is it jealousy as a friend or something more? The girls at school are annoyed with Hotaru for attracting all the handsome guys on campus. They warn Yuma to be careful with her boyfriend. But Yuma's worries are different. Later, Takeda visits Yuma in her classroom and brings up their weekend plans. Yuma panics. Surprisingly, Takeda suggests going to the amusement park instead, not mentioning his house. Yuma is relieved but wonders if Takeda is okay with her hesitation. After a fun day at the amusement park with Hotaru and Fujiwara, Yuma finally gets some alone time with Takeda on the Ferris wheel. When asked why he changed their plans, Takeda admits that he thought their previous dates might make Hotaru feel left out, so he decided that spending time together as a group would make for a better date. He also regrets suggesting she stay over at his place so early in their relationship. This makes Yuma laugh, and soon enough they share a tender kiss in the Ferris wheel. While red flag Yuma's getting rained on with green flags, Hotaru is getting something else entirely. Things are turning grim between her and her boyfriend, who grabs her face and tries to lock lips with her, but she pushes him away. The tension escalates when he comments that she shouldn't keep up with this farce, but what pisses him off, so he violently kicks the bench where she's seated. Her eyes turn dark with fear. As they got off the ride, Hotaru pulls Yuma to ride the Ferris wheel with just her. Takeda asks Fujiwara if something happened between the two of them, and he feigns innocence, but it's a little obvious. At the Ferris wheel, Yuma proudly shares that she just kissed Takeda for the second time. In response, Hotaru tells her they'll start practicing for the next base and snogs her. Yuma doesn't fight it. When they pull away, Yuma notices that Hotaru's hands are trembling. She asks her friend if something happened between her and Fujiwara, but Hotaru denies anything. While waiting for the two girls, Fujiwara asks Takeda, Are those two what? Fujiwara doesn't finish the question, but it's clear he knows what's up. Winter vacation comes, and it's for a trip. Hotaru teases Yuma by saying that it's a trip to lose her V card. When they arrive at their lodging, the first order of business is to visit the bath. There's no one else but the two of them. Yuma feels a bit self-conscious, possibly due to Hotaru's recent antics. Nevertheless, she admires Hotaru's body while her friend washes up. When Hotaru catches her looking, she playfully calls Yuma a pervert. She takes Yuma's towel, reminding her not to be shy because Takeda will see the same thing later. Hotaru proceeds to innocently clean Yuma's body and even invites herself to some playful actions. Amid Yuma's surprised reactions, Takeda suddenly calls out, asking for shampoo. Yuma tries to hold in her voice while talking to her boyfriend, and after some effort, she manages to pass the shampoo over. After their suggestive bath, Hotaru asks Yuma if she's mad at her. Yuma responds affirmatively, mentioning that she thought Hotaru might make a move on her. But if Yuma gets angry so quickly, she might need anger management classes. Fujiwara notices the two girls, and his thoughts likely go in the right direction. Takeda arrives and nervously asks Yuma what they should do next, but Yuma panics and runs away with Hotaru. In their room, Hotaru questions Yuma about why she's pulling away now given their intimate moments. Yuma enthusiastically calls Hotaru her best friend, much to Hotaru's dismay. Ouch, that hurts. Meanwhile, in the guy's room, Takeda is upset about being rejected by his girlfriend. He apologizes to Fujiwara, who isn't helping, by mentioning that his plans don't hinge on this trip. Takeda sarcastically congratulates him on losing his virginity already. Night ends with the young couples sleeping separately. The next morning, Hotaru asks Yuma to teach her how to snowboard. At one point, Hotaru stumbles, and when Yuma extends her hand to help her up, Hotaru pulls her in for another kiss. Fujiwara, snowboarding from a distance, witnesses the two in close proximity and wonders what's going on. Yuma forcefully pushes Hotaru away, feeling uncomfortable and concerned about being seen. Hotaru questions Yuma, suggesting she's worried about Takeda's reaction. She also brings up their intimate bath from the previous night, claiming that Yuma allowed it to happen. Yuma disagrees, stating that Hotaru forced herself on her. They clearly don't share the same perspective on the situation, and Yuma thinks Hotaru should have respected her no. Unbeknownst to them, Fujiwara overhears their conversation. After returning, Yuma goes on a ride with Takeda to the peak, but her mind is elsewhere. She can't help but wonder what's wrong with Hotaru. Fujiwara notices Yuma sitting alone on a bench and asks if she's not snowboarding. Yuma explains that she's not as good as the affectionate Yuma and Takeda. Fujiwara tries to comfort her and invites her back to their room. In an attempt to persuade her, Fujiwara whispers something in Yuma's ear, and her expression changes. It turns out Fujiwara has seen Yuma and Hotaru kissing. In their room, he expresses his disbelief that such a thing was happening. He feels sorry for Takeda, who is unaware of the situation. At least the native boy will finally get what he wants tonight. Hotaru doesn't seem thrilled about it. Yuma knocks on their room door and is greeted by Fujiwara. She catches a glimpse of Hotaru's bare chest and quickly understands what has occurred. Bashfully, she decides to leave them alone peeking outside. Takeda notices her lingering in the hallway and asks why. Yuma explains that Hotaru and Fujiwara are getting intimate in their room. His expression says it all that there's no need to explain further. Takeda may not be the sharpest tool in the shed, but he's not naive. It's clear that Yuma is still troubled by what she witnessed. So much so that she suggests to the group that the couples should sleep together that night, surprising Takeda. Her mind remains in turmoil as she constantly reminds herself that Hotaru and Fujiwara are indeed dating. Now alone in the room with Takeda, he notices something's amiss and asks if something happened with Hotaru. Yuma defensively denies any such thing. Without wasting time, Takeda pins her down on the futon and stares at her blankly. Yuma realizes the contrast between his strength and Hotaru's gentle weakness. He sees fear in Yuma's eyes and, as any decent human being should, immediately releases her. He grabs a jacket to use as a blanket and decides to sleep in the corner on a chair, leaving the futon for Yuma. She's taken aback by this gesture and asks him why he's doing it. In response, the sweet boy admits that he has a feeling she doesn't like him all that much. On the way home, Yuma notices that all of her conversations with Takeda after the incident feel superficial. Despite the trip's goal of bringing them closer, they have suddenly become emotionally distant. She blames her own stubbornness with Hotaru for the pain she's caused Takeda, and the last thing she wants to do right now is talk to her best friend. A few days later, they all return to school. Yuma walks through the halls with a heavy heart, fretting about how she'll face Takeda now. Awkwardly, they exchange a mere good morning with no further conversation. Yuma confides in her two other friends about what transpired over the winter break, omitting everything related to Hotaru. Her friends advise her to have a serious talk with Takeda. In the meantime, they've heard rumors about Kawamoto Maria from Class 2 getting involved with Fujiwara. This new girl started sending flirtatious messages to him, and he promptly sent Hotaru home after their encounter. He's clearly not a reliable or faithful person. Hotaru is absent from school that day, so Yuma decides to visit her at home. When the door opens, she's surprised to see Hotaru wearing an eye patch. Yuma inquires about it, and Hotaru casually explains that she tripped and fell. Yuma then gets to the real reason for her visit, wanting to check up on her and ask about her relationship with Fujiwara, especially because of the cheating rumors. Hotaru seems unfazed and admits she never thought of him as the faithful type anyway. It's a sad revelation. Besides, it turns out Hotaru is also cheating, which doesn't come as a shock to anyone except the oblivious Yuma. Yuma asks who the other person is, and Hotaru inches closer until she's within kissing distance. They soon find themselves on the bed, with Yuma firmly in Hotaru's grasp. Yuma whispers, "I'm cheating with you." At the worst possible moment, Yuma's phone rings, and it's Takeda calling. She quickly answers, though it proves to be quite a challenge talking to her boyfriend while, well, she's cheating on him. The ever-honest and oblivious Takeda apologizes for their awkward encounter at school earlier. Unfortunately, Yuma can't hide her whimpers. Poor Takeda asks if there's a chance for them to get back together. Yuma presents a homemade bento box that she and her mom made for him, glad that things between them are somehow returning to normal. They also plan their next date. Things seem to be looking up, and she tries not to let what Hotaru said about cheating disturb her. Oh yeah, they probably said no homo at one point, so it doesn't count as cheating. On the rooftop, Takeda is hanging out with Fujiwara. Takeda confesses that despite Yuma's recent behavior, he still cares about her. Just as he's thinking he's the worst, Fujiwara suggests that he shouldn't let it bother him so much. Besides, he hints that Yuma may not be as great as he thinks either. This leaves Takeda puzzled, so Fujiwara mentions that most girls have a dark side, and he might just be getting played like a fool. Takeda recalls his girlfriend's strange phone call from the previous night. However, Takeda believes that Yuma isn't like that. He holds on to hope, still believing in her. It's a messy situation for everyone involved, and perhaps it can be resolved if everyone lets go of their inhibitions, accepts their losses, and follows their hearts. They say that all is fair in love and war, but what people often overlook is that there will always be casualties in both. That's all for now. Make sure to like and subscribe. Comment for more recap videos.